are opposition political parties based in Matabeleland not doing so well in elections, as ZAP did in 1980 and 1985. Dr. Philani Ndlovu. Dr. Ndlovu is another returning champion on MPC, and he has become the foremost friend of the program. Dr. Ndlovu is a researcher with UNISA. He is interested in legal research, particularly areas of indigenous African law, property law, monetary law, international investment, and the legal history. Dr. Ndlovu is a teacher, tutor, and lecturer who publishes in law and personal development. He is a corporate trainer with interest in construction law, international law of construction contracts, and the disputes, settlements on construction disputes. Dr. Ndlovu, I don't know whether you are ready now to give us your submission, Bob.
Okay, thank you very much. Looking at the factors, some of them have been identified, some of the colleagues speaking earlier, but maybe just to begin with, my own observation, first and foremost, is that the people of Matabeleland have lost their identity. They don't know who they are. And on its own is a very important factor. Because I think we are, if we can admit it, we are in a scenario where even within the community of Matabeleland, we have people who call themselves, Zimbabweans, we have people who call themselves Mthwakazi, and we have people who are not decided. They are Zimbabwean, they are Mthwakazi. I think that on its own is a very important question. That confusion can also be felt even when it comes to elections in the family setup. Because I think if you look at 1980, everyone was decided they were Zimbabwean. So everybody was voting ZAP within the Zimbabwean context. Even in 1985, people were decided they were Zimbabwean. They were voting for ZAP within the Zimbabwean context. And then 1990, after the unity agreement, they felt they had an obligation to go for ZANU. So they went for ZANU because it was still within the Zimbabwean context. Then in year 2000, I think it was a protest vote. For the first time, we see the Matabeleland bloc breaking away from ZANU PF and then backing up MDC. You remember how dramatic the whole thing was in the year 2000. And then coming into the years thereafter, you find that there seems to be that division among the people in terms of, are we still Zimbabwean? Are we Mthwakazi? Are we anything to go by? So at the end of the day, you find in our voting patterns, you have those who are clearly decided that they are not Zimbabwean. I think we have the section of those who are now in a state of voter apathy because they don't think that the Zimbabwean participating in the Zimbabwean election is anything worthwhile. As far as they are concerned, it's a waste of time because it has never yielded anything. Remember, it's been 44 years of voting and there has never been a change. So there's a kind of a lethargy coming from the idea that whatever effort we undertake is not going to change anything. Particularly for those who think that maybe we should forge a new identity and do away with the Zimbabwean identity. I think that's an area that needs our investigation in terms of how many of our people find ourselves in that state of apathy because they cannot identify with the Zimbabwean vision, so they cannot vote within the Zimbabwean framework, even though legally speaking and factually speaking, they are in Zimbabwe. So that they form a very significant portion of our population, which we may not ignore. And so, because we have that indecision regarding whether people are Zimbabwean or people are Mthwakazi, and if they are Zimbabwean, then they must vote. But will they change anything? Because they have not changed anything. I mean, you hear statements like saying, what is it that you can change? What is it that you can win if Joshua Nkomo could not have won anything? And I'm sure we can all agree that Joshua Nkomo was the kind of person who could have won anything from a Zimbabwean context, being somebody from our region. Anybody else who does not have the same clout as Joshua Nkomo, surely trying to win as a political party from Matabeleland is viewed by many people as just a wild goose chase, which will not really take us anywhere. So there is generally that perception that we are not bound to win anything, even if we were to participate, even if we were to send our candidates to work with us, or rather to represent us there. So there is that reluctance then to go with the Matabele parties, because of the notion that, number one, we cannot lead. I mean, we have seen the trend. It has always been either Morgan Tsvangirai, or it has been, if it's not Morgan Tsvangirai, you have to have an Atham Tambara. If it's not an Atham Tambara in opposition, then you must go look for a Chamisa. So that idea, especially among our people, remember, these are people that have been abused. These are people that have been intimidated. These are people that have been somehow made to feel inferior. Because remember, most of the talk that goes around is to say that you are very few. You see a lot of that statistics being drummed in, being drilled into everyone's mind, that the people of Matabeleland are numerically few. Whether that's a fact or not, it's a matter that must be investigated. But its impact is very profound. So it's psychological attrition that people have to daily go through, because you've got to be told that you're few, that you are powerless, that you cannot gain anything, that you are divided. You see, all this is talk that is calculated to ensure that it entrenches that feeling of what's called division. Because when somebody keeps saying you are divided, you are too few, you are powerless, you are economically inferior, you are uneducated, all that messaging, I don't know if we really understand what impact that messaging has on our people. Because you do get people as who engage, you get people who will tell you, and people certainly believe that, because they have been hearing a lot of it for a long time. So as a result, we are talking about people who have lost confidence in themselves, lost confidence in their own leaders. And to win, especially a psychological war against anybody, you must make them, first of all, feel less about themselves. When when a person feels less about himself or herself, then it becomes very amenable to whatever form of manipulation you can come up with. So we are saying these are people who have been intimidated. Fear has been instilled in their hearts and minds, and that has brought a lot of confusion. Because remember, Kukurahundi itself brought in a lot of confusion, exposed people to a lot of confusion. So even right now, the fear of Kukurahundi lingers on in the minds of the people. That's why, as Babuma Konya was saying, there is this obsession with the removal of ZANU-PF, because people have always identified ZANU-PF as our main problem. And so it has become a very quick carrot that the parties from the other regions are able to dangle before our people, to say, you see, your problem has always been ZANU-PF from 1980. So if you can participate in the removal of ZANU-PF, then we will surely go a step further. So even though sometimes we try to reason with our people to say, do you know, if it to remove ZANU-PF, we would have done so in 1985. But because numerically we never had a capacity to install them, or even let alone remove them, it's a mantra that really doesn't take us anywhere. But because it has been sold to our people many times, they have bought into it. They've swallowed hook, line, and sinker when it comes to that. So in summary, our problems are historical. Our people have been intimidated. So they have been intimidated and confused. They don't know who to trust. That's why they can run to and fro with every wind of doctrine that comes with those parties that promise them heaven on earth here, especially those emanating from Harar. So they have brought in confusion, leading to that obsession with the removal of ZANU-PF, because let's come to terms with it. People of Matabeleland have never wanted ZANU-PF. So if you present them with an opportunity, however lousy and remote it's to say you will remove ZANU-PF, people get very excited about it, even though we know that it is a very far-fetched idea, because Matabeleland cannot remove ZANU-PF as long as the Mashonaland is not willing to remove ZANU-PF. So in summary, we have historical factors, we have confusion leading to an obsession with the removal of ZANU-PF, economic lack of independence, because the people are dependent on the same government. So sometimes they don't even know what to do. That's why even when this one comes in and says we will give you better opportunities, they buy into that. Thank you very much. I think I can end it there for the time being.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Dr. Ndlovu. Thanks very, very, very much. Is it important for the people of Matabeleland to vote as a bloc, or to vote for the political parties which are Matabeleland centric? Is it important?
Siyabonga kakhulu, Babunkala. Thank you very much. I think I can say there's really no question there to say, should we really come together and be a bloc? I think identity lies at the center of everything else. If you don't know who you are, you'll go around identifying with everybody, including seeking solidarity with people who are not seeking solidarity with you. So as a result, you will always be a loser. I think I heard ubaba uMethu Selimoyo kukhuluma nobaba uMagonyeke wayithinta le ndaba ukuthi we are a two-state country. I mean, two-nation country, sorry. So that on its own means ukuthi each of these two nations must push for its own national interests as a bloc. Because you see, if you are in a place like Jambes, or if you are in a place like Tuli, and you have some concerns and interests, I say Tuli, but you think that your maybe the same concerns and interests you have are the same as those of someone who is in Mthwakazi or someone in Mount Pleasant, then surely you are mistaken, because your interests are different. So it will always be in the interest of abantu baseMatabeleland to come together as a bloc and to speak with one voice on issues that are of particular interest to them, because they are issues that are peculiar to them. There is no need to pretend for 43 years that we are one country, when the facts on the ground clearly show us that we are not. Even the disparities in development, anybody coming into Zimbabwe driving across can tell the difference between the roads in Plumtree and the roads in Kwekwe, or the roads in a place like Katoma and so on. So you don't even need a rocket scientist to come and tell us that. So there's really no question about whether we should come together and vote as a bloc. As one speaker just indicated, our children have been expatriated from Zimbabwe. They are all over the world. They are in South Africa, particularly, and in Botswana, which basically then shows that our concerns, our the things that are issues to us are not the same as the things that are issues to the people in Harare. We are not saying that they are bad in any way by way of having the concerns that they have. It's because our situations are different, our situations are peculiar, even the solutions that we seek are different. You ask anybody, take any example of two parties, a party like maybe the CCC or the MDC coming to the people of Matabeleland and speaking politics. They are not speaking the same language, for instance, as you'd expect the Freedom Alliance or the MRP to be speaking. And why is that the case? It is simply because the concerns and the needs of the communities are different. So the long and the short of it is that if the people of Matabeleland hypothetically were to vote as one bloc, take all the seats from Zambezi right across to Limpopo, that is covering the Matabeleland area, you will notice that if we came together and voted as one bloc, all those seats would go into parliament as one bloc, speaking one voice. Right, fair and fine, there may be 40 out of a parliament with how many? Now, if you can imagine if all those 40 go there with a particular agenda and they speak their own agenda, there would be the other parties. Let's talk about either CCC or ZANU-PF. They would have to now talk to those people in order to be able to push their own agenda. So we could then be able to leverage on our 40 seats by way of saying to ZANU-PF, we want you to pass such a law which benefits us. We want devolution to be passed which benefits us. But we can only help you. We will help you. In other words, you use your own voting block to trade with those in greater control, even if we don't have the maximum control on our own. But we are able to say we can support you if you support us on this agenda. So it becomes a partnership, even if it's an unequal partnership, but we are at least able to make some gains. But apart from that, you find that our votes are dissipated, they are spread thin all over. So every one of us is just either in ZANU-PF or you are in CCC or you are in another party, and you are not even being listened to because you are a minority there. Whatever voice you try to raise, they don't pay attention to you because you are a minority, you don't have a voice. So maybe in summary, what I can say is we need to identify and come to terms with the fact that we are a unique province, rather we are a unique region, of course, with three of how many number of provinces. And within the context of those provinces that we have been marginalized, our needs are different from the needs of the people in Harare. Therefore, we need to come together, and we need to come together now, so that by the time people are preparing for the 2028 election, we have already mobilized our people, whether we're talking about bringing all these parties that we have into a kind of alliance or whatever formation, but such that within that formation, they are able to champion the interests of the people of Matabeleland. We must not be apologetic about that. There's no need to be apologetic. So once we accept that we are two nations, we don't even need to hide that from them, because I think they've come to terms with it. The name Mthwakazi now is a common thing, not only Matabeleland. They accept it, even if they don't accept it officially, but they know what it means. They know that there's a Mthwakazi nation. It makes them uncomfortable, gives them goosebumps. That explains also why when we have Mzilikazi celebration, a week later there's a Mutapas celebration. It's an acknowledgement that we have become pace setters, if one could say that. So let us then leverage on that ability to be pace setters and be able to say to ourselves, we come together as a bloc. We are pushing Zimbabwe to recognize. For instance, it could be simple things like recognize our king, simple things like whatever we want as a group, as a region, we can push for it. We can push for the devolution bill, demand its implementation, and so on and so forth, provided we have a strong political voice. And we will not get a strong political voice as long as some of our people join ZANU-PF, others join CCC, and others are in ZAPO and in MRP or in Freedom Alliance and so on. So I think to come together is actually the secret formula that we need to change our fortunes as a region. Let me stop there for the time being. Thank you.
Okay, no, thanks very much, Dr. Ndlovu. Baba Ndlovu, ngingazi ukuthi kukhona after usulalele izikhulumi zonke ongabe ufisa ukuthi engage kulokho akukhulumile.
Angibonge babunkala nazo zonke izikhulumi Ngingabi direct on anyone as such, but ngeke ngeze ubaba uBhajila laphana ethinta ngokuthi bake babasemakhaya bathi nxa bexoxa lezakhamizi, izakhamizi zabatshela ukuthi zona zifisa ukuthi zivotele iphathi enjani, zifisa ukuthi kumiswe njani. Ngikuzwile impela konke lokhuyana. Enye yezinto nxa ngilalela ngiyazibuza umbuzo ukuthi have we become a homogeneous or rather a heterogeneous society? Ngoba maybe ekuqaleni we all knew who we were, but maybe now sokungathi sokune confusion, mhlawumbe sokufike labomakhelwane sebebaningi, mhlawumbe sebebaningi ukuthi sebesidlula yini ngenani. Ake ngikushiye kuwumbuzo mhlawumbe umbuzo asiphendula lapha enkundleni. Kodwa-ke bengizothini, just in response to what Baba Bhajila was saying about what they were told. I know uthe babe kuma-bonfire bexoxa and so on. But uma ngikhumbula mina ngangisasemfishane impela ngo-1970s, late 1970s, kakhulu ngesikhathi laphana besalwela independence. Ngizothi mina i-politics is not so much about following what people are saying, but it's making them say what you want them to say. I think there is one thing in going to listen to them as a way of maybe establishing a reason and a strategy for social engineering, as well as what one would call, engineering their minds. Because I think we are at a point where fair and fine, there is what is happening. But as I would say, politicians don't only float with they don't only follow the tide. They should be able to steer the tide in their direction. So other than maybe we've been infiltrated and we've been invaded by Omakelwane and they've brought in their agenda and so on, I think the bottom question, the fundamental question is how far and what mechanisms can we use to re-engineer our society in order to understand what we want? Because surely it's not just a matter of them telling us what they want. For them, for instance, I can confirm that ukuze abazali bethu emakhaya, whether kusenkaya or kuselupani or kuseplump, ukuze ubezwe sebekhuluma kanje besithi bona mhlambe bafuna i-candidate yesishoneni for a president or what, it's because they have been engineered to get to that. Someone has engineered them. It was not always the case. That's why Joshua Mkabugo babemvotela with confidence. It's because nobody had told them that it was impossible for Joshua Mkabugo to win the presidency. But now, because they've been engineered to believe that it is impossible, that's why they now prefer a Shona candidate for a president. So what I'm trying to say is there has been engineering on our people's minds. We must counter-engineer that. And so maybe gathered in a platform like this one or any other platform, the issue that we must take home is what strategies do we have in place to re-engineer our society, to see our vision, to remind them of who they are, and to get them to see how far they can go if they were to vote as a bloc, if they were to re-identify themselves and take pride in their own nationhood. And I would say I'm very optimistic of getting there, because I think the past few years, if you can agree with me, the Mthwakazi national consciousness has been revived very significantly. I think if you go Uncle, I remember the first time I posted that video of mine on whether we have two nations trapped inside one border. I think at that time, maybe the consciousness was not at the level where it is now. I see and hear more and more people identifying with the vision. And like I was saying, you even see abantu abanjengabo-Chamisa coming in, ezobingelela abantu bethi sanibonani Mthwakazi. That on its own is an acknowledgement that the message has gone far and wide. So it's a matter of just taking it a step further, and with a little bit more effort, I believe we are getting there. And we need to just ramp up more support and take it a step further. I don't know really in terms of resources and the mobilization of the masses, Because I sometimes have a view that we need to have people who are dedicated to daily teaching people about these things, going from home to home, from village to village, and producing all kinds of material, be it electronic videos, audios, or pamphlets, or books, whatever material, but message needs to get to the people. Even these door-to-door visits, they are very necessary. So I think one of the strategies, if we are really adopting this, would have to be to do with it. How do we take the message to the people? We have already taken it, we have taken it to the people, but there is more that can be done. And with a little more effort, I think more can be done and more will be done. Thank you very much.
Asibonge kakhulu Baba Ndlovu. Hayi, mihle imbono. Ndlovu, cela usinikeze ama-closing remarks akho baba.
Ngiyabonga Baba uNkala. Baba uThulani Nkala ngiyabonga. Baba uBhuti uMthulisi ngiyabonga. Baba uMethuzeli Moyo siyabonga. Bhuti uMagonya siyabonga. Baba uDonata siyawuza umbuzo. Siyabonga kakhulu. Baba uBajila angisakuboni. Ngicela ukuthi ngibuye ngibonge. Ngicela ukubeka kanje ke mina njengamazwi ami okugcina nje awuvalelisa. Mhlawumbe Baba uNkala nabanye ningangibona sengathi ngumuntu kulezi indaba zepolitiki. Kahle kahle impilo yami ngobuningi bayo igxile ey'ntweni zamabandla. Kungani ngikukhuluma lokho? You see, kuthiwa there are people who look at things and wonder why the things are the way they are. Then there are people who look at the same things and look for a way to turn them to become what they want them to be. So maybe when you look at things on the ground, some of the questions there was block voting in 1980 and 1985, but that only produced Kukurawundi. How does block voting now guarantee that there will not be another Kukurawundi? Now, contextualizing this question with what I was saying, there is a way of looking at things as they are, and then there is a way of saying, why should these things not change to become what I want them to be? I think the long and the short of it is that since 1980, we've been observers. We've seen the governance coming from Harare. We were hoping that things will change and work in our favor, but it has not happened. And njengoba eke washo angisakwazi ukuthi ubhuti bani uNkala mhlawumbe bekhuluma ukuthi omgabe bakubona ukuthi yini abangayenza form ZANU and have what they want, and they worked towards it. So I think we should not be discouraged about the pace of the progress we are making as a region in terms of raising political consciousness and in terms of trying maybe to even instill this idea of block voting so that we can take the levers of power, even at council level, even at village head level. My village head engaba block belonging to our block, then it means we have already got influence there. Whether VDP, whether councillor, whether whatever. So that's where it begins. So I think let's begin where we are, and as we continue to move forward, these ideas will actually cut across our society. Eventually, we'll have more and more people buying in. And as we were talking about social engineering and political engineering, I think that's where we must start. That's where we must focus, and we'll certainly get there. They say direction is more important than speed. So as long as we are moving in the direction of conscientizing our brothers and sisters and our children about these things, eventually it will dawn on them. It may not dawn in one day, but certainly the dawn will come and things will change and take shape the way we want them to. May God bless you all. Good night.
Oh, siyabonga kakhulu Baba Ndlovu.